On the left, Brad Nelson on your right. It's Mono Green Tron against Jeskai Control. And apparently Brad Nelson is playing the exact same deck list that Benjamin Ikulich is playing. I told you! I told you. He puts his faith in the Jeskai Control stud, which is probably pretty smart, honestly. Anneliese is going to play with less cards now. Less cards. Brad with a standard GP runner-up finish.
This is what's going to happen. Brad's going to win a squeaker with Anneliese on 5 cards, and then be able to sideboard out of all of his stupid bolts, win the match 2-1, and just be like, yeah, it's just got deck's still good.
Yeah, matchup's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, you know, walk away being like, yeah, I mean, you get game 1 most of the time, and then post-board you don't have your bolts. And
it'll be 5 cards for Anneliese. Looks like it's a better 5. She's going to scry.
Noteworthy here, Brad on 3 copies of Field of Ruin, probably his most important game 1 card.
I think I would agree. What do you think? What kind of coffee do you think that was you just drank?
Black iced coffee.
I'm going to guess a peppermint mocha.
Okay.
It's in season. He'll play a Scalding Tarn. I don't even know if that's a thing, by the way. I have no clue. I don't know what Starbucks sells.
Any sort of dessert beverage you can imagine they have.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I just made that up. And Urza's Mine into a Chromatic Sphere is how Anneliese will start things. Brad with another fetch land there in Flooded Strand. So we head back over to Anneliese. Does she have a second land? Perhaps a second Tron piece. She'll start by cracking the sphere for green. Playing a forest and attempting a Sylvan Scrying. We'll see if this resolves. Brad will sacrifice some fetch lands. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Logic Knot here.
Just go ahead and Helixer in response. All right, he's probably got a Logic Knot.
I think it's probably a Logic Knot, man. Just burn you.
Yeah, just give her the old Helix.
There's the Logic Knot as we head back over to Brad. It'll be an island, and we'll head back over to Faustino. Scavenging Grounds, Expedition Map. It's a slow build towards Tron, but it doesn't need to be a fast one in this matchup. That's the thing.
Yep. Plenty of time to get it set up.
Nelson, not
Electrolyzer.
Not generally one to play a control deck in most formats, but doing it here this weekend. Looks like it'll be another copy of Logic Knot. Slow down the Expedition Map. Brad's goal here, this game, very clear. Anneliese is on a mulligan, and he's trying to stop her from completing Tron. And there's a Walking Ballista for 1. He does not care about that. That's for sure.
Yeah, particularly with Faustino not having Tron. He's got a lot of bolts for that one.
This would be a perfect time for one of those electrolyzes.
Yep.
3 mana. There you go. 1 and 1.
So good.
Nelson will take one, of course.
So good in this matchup.
I think that'll be the first card he sideboards out. Before the Bolts and Helixes, Electrolyze will go. As there's Field of Ruin. Now that one actually is good in the matchup. Another Urza's Mine, 4 mana. Maybe another Walking Ballista. Yes, this one's for 2. Nelson will draw. Picked up an island for the turn. As I mentioned, Brad did get second place in a Grand Prix earlier in the quarter. Lost to Ely Cassis in the finals. Both players are here. Brad Nelson doing that with your favorite deck, Boros Angels. In Standard. Yeah. So it appears that you're not particularly fond of Brad's deck choices in either format.
Far be it from me to critique Brad, who's just obviously one of the planet's best constructed players.
Of course.
Of course. But these decks are bad.
A Sorceress Kanta here.
They're bad decks.
In for 2 with the Ballista. Going to pump up the jam, and I think we're going to see... No, we will not see some sort of removal spell. Looks like 3 damage will come through. Nelson going to fall down to 10. There's a Forest. The follow-up is an Ancient Stirrings for Faustino, and that's going to resolve. We'll call them metagame decks. How's that sound? Faustino's selection is Karn Liberated. We'll head back over to Nelson. See if he's got an end-of-turn effect.
Faustino is out of cards in hand. It's not a terrible time to just free up your mana, Field of Ruin, one of the Tron pieces, because he's so far away from being able to assemble Tron. Sometimes you want to sit on the Field of Ruin for more agency, you know? But I think that was a reasonable window to do it. Looks like Brad's still going to hold tight, though.
He will hold steady. Take a look at the top card there with Searcher's Kanta. Nelson right now with 2 cards in the graveyard. So he's got a little bit of a ways to go here with Search, but it's not hard for Searcher's Kanta to transform into its more powerful other half. An island here for Nelson. He does not look thrilled at having to fire off this Field of Ruin, but he's going to take care of the Scavenging Grounds, it appears. And these are 2 players, as they do resolve the Field of Ruin, that have had a lot of success, actually, in Baltimore. Faustino with that runner-up finish earlier this year. Nelson actually won an Open in Baltimore with Grixis Death Shadow, defeating Ben Friedman, another StarCityGames.com columnist, in the finals. Friedman playing Dredge that weekend.
So, Brad, now there's a 1-turn window here for Faustino to assemble Tron and land Karn. Looked like, Brad wanted to prioritize the Scavenging Ground because he wants to get to a spot where he flips over as Kanta and starts running away with the game that way. Can't do that if the graveyard's shut out.
Power Plant was the land there for Faustino. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Teferi is here. This game might disappear for Anneliese, as Nelson's going to play a Scalding Tarn and untap a couple of lands. Could be a runaway now. Teferi on an empty battlefield makes things pretty easy for most Jeskai control players. And I have to imagine with the way Nelson's lands are laid out there, might have a Cryptic Command at the ready.
Yep, and if he's got an answer to Karn, Faustino is in a world of trouble.
Yes. Now on my bingo board, I do have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Tux a permanent. Come on! Can I get a little cooperation here?
That's never going to happen
Nope.
here. No, just going to draw 2 a turn. And
a Hieroglyphic Illumination.
that's nice.
Yes. They're from Nelson. He'll draw 2 cards.
I like that card a fair bit, all kidding aside.
I do too.
I think it's a good one in these decks.
As Kanta has transformed into its better half, this very powerful land that we'll take a look at. It's Kanta, the Sunken City. So powerful in combination with Teferi. You saw in Standard. Nelson has actually played this combination in Standard before. Played Blue-White Approach at a Pro Tour. Was making a deep run with the deck. There you do see the Sunken Ruin. Truly a busted card.
Busted.
Yeah. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card, put it into your hand. Of course, he's going to have the opportunity to untap it with Teferi's ability. And now the question is, Anneliese, how much longer do you want to endure this? Because on a mulligan to 5 and the inability to put together Tron at this stage, and whatever she would attempt to cast probably wouldn't matter anyway.
Unlikely to resolve.
Yes.
I mean, if you think you still have a hope of casting an Ulamog, maybe you play for a little bit longer. But it is getting bleak.
That would require Nelson to not have anything to beat that Ulamog, as there's Cryptic Command. Nelson's actually going to stunt Anneliese's development by bouncing that Urza's Power Plant and drawing a card. A play I actually like quite a bit there.
Yeah, try to leave her where she only has 1 unique Tron piece in play. So she's at the minimum 2 turns away from reassembling Tron, and that gives you a whole bunch of turns to draw extra cards, find another Field Ruin perhaps, and prevent Faustino from resolving anything of significance.
Brad will play a free Lightning Helix, but I think I noticed what his plan is now. If he's going to be bouncing lands like that, then his plan is to get to the emblem here with Teferi. Whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent and opponent controls, and then she'll never be able to complete Tron.
Yeah.
And ever be able to do anything relevant. There is that power plant again. Now, I believe you have Brad's deck list in front of you. I want to do a Snapcaster Mage check here.
4.
Okay. It's a card that's been trending down in Modern. We don't see many Snapcaster Mage decks nowadays, and some decks that you would expect to have it, like the Arclight Phoenix decks, don't really play it. So I just wanted to make sure, as Nelson looks like he's going to activate his Kanta of the Sunken Ruin. He found another copy of Hieroglyphic Illumination. Now explain why you like this card.
So I guess the point of comparison here is Opt. And in these decks, often early on, spells are good, lands are good, so the value of scrying is not necessarily the highest. But being able to pull ahead in the spots where you are sitting on Cryptic Command mana and your opponent's not cooperating, I think is a big deal.
I agree with that. And, just being able to cycle that card is just so powerful, I think.
Right.
It's something that just kind of goes underlooked on a card.
The comparison to me is with Opt.
Oh.
You're giving up the scry in the spots where you cycle, but like I said, I just don't think that cost is super high, and being able to pull ahead on resources when you're sitting on Cryptic is a big deal.
It'll be a search for Escanta.
Did Brad cycle one of these this game or just cast it?
Just cast.
So player cycles a card, still waiting on.
Not there yet. Looks like Snapcaster Mage might be coming down here in just a moment. Nelson might be thinking Snap plus Cryptic, but he's just going to activate Escanta and find another Cryptic. And it's one of the harder locks we've seen here, folks. No need to cut. It was an Escanta activation. Small misstep there from Anneliese, but no real problem there as we go over to Nelson. He'll scry here with his search for Escanta, place that card into the graveyard. Going to the emblem here with Teferi, and now it's time to draw some cards and start exiling some permanents. Get out the old vacuum cleaner, as there is the Teferi emblem. Electrolyze has never looked so good.
Yep, really good deal when you also get to Vindicate as part of the...
Who's laughing at Electrolyze now, huh? Still you.
Literally any spell in this spot is good.
That's correct. Brad is going to discard. It looks like the Flooded Strand. And now he's going to bounce land, exile land. Is he going for the flawless victory, perhaps? As Faustino, no interest in conceding.
Plays on.
So, if she won't concede, okay, there we go. There we go. As Brad Nelson's going to win game number 1 here over Anneliese Faustino. Jeskai Control off the back of the very powerful Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Going to win game number 1 here over Mono Green Tron. Anneliese on a mulligan of 5 that game, hoping to keep 7 this go around. She's got some cards to work with here in the sideboard. 4 Nature's Claims, 3 Thought-Knot Seers, 3 Thragtusk, 2 Spatial Contortion, 2 Horping Whale, and a Grafdigger's Cage.
Give me those threat cards. 3 Thought-Knots and 3 Thragtusks. Bring those in. They're cards that are fine if she can't assemble Tron. Not the easiest threats for Nelson to handle. Yeah, get in some more substantive cards in the deck.
On Brad Nelson's side, his sideboard's a lot more varied. He's got 2 Celestial Purge, 2 Dispel, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Vendilion Click, and 5 1-ofs here in Baneslayer Angel and Lyra Dawnbringer. Got to mix him up for the old Meddling Mage. A Negate and a Braid, and an Engineer Explosives.
I like the Negate and the 2 copies of Ceremonious Rejection. I think Surgical's going a little bit too far. Though with Field of Ruin, perhaps he brings in that as well. He has no shortage of inefficient cards to cut, so he can maybe afford to be a little ambitious.
Well, those are the options there for both players here before game number 2 will begin. They'll sideboard, shuffle up, and get ready for that second game. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about the StarCityGames.com pre-release program playmat. It is the newest addition to our creature collection here at StarCityGames.com, so popular over the years. And if you want to bring the Simian Tour Guide to your pre-release, make sure you do have stores registered today. They can find out more information at go.starcitygames.com/pre-release. That pre-release is going to take place January 19th and the 20th for Ravnica Allegiance, where we're going to get our other 5 guilds. I'm very excited about that, as this monkey appears to be destroying airplanes, something I actually don't approve of because I fly a lot.
It is horrifying to imagine.
Yeah. I'd prefer that not to be the case. Either way, this is the Simian Tour Guide. Go.starcitygames.com/pre-release for more information. Brad Nelson, the resume for him is vast, both professionally and here on the SCG Tour circuit. The 32-year-old who lives in Roanoke, Virginia, has got 10 open top 8s with 3 wins, most of which have taken place here in Baltimore. 3 invitational top 8s with a win in Indianapolis a handful of years ago, where he got to make that Trading Post GOAT token. He's an avid StarCraft 2 fan, won the inaugural Players' Championship here on the SCG Tour, and played golf throughout high school, was once a scratch golfer.
It's very good. Very good at golf.
I think Brad could have really livened up the Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson event that took place last weekend. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I'm not.
Did you not know that happened? So it was like a pay-per-view, Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson, where they were like, it was like they bet against each other.
Okay.
And stuff, and it was not particularly entertaining because it wasn't ridiculous enough. Both players were mic'd up for all the small talk and the "I don't think you can make this putt" type thing. A lot of money on the line between the two. It's like you know how poker players used to have shows like that, do ridiculous things.
Prop betting.
Yeah, prop betting. That's what people I think wanted to see, and it was a lot more tame than that. So I think we could throw in. There needs to be some comedic relief.
There's a. Have you seen the most recent prop bet controversy? That sort of someone saying that I don't know if it was for $100K or $1 million.
It's I know exactly what it is. It's for $100K.
They'll stay in a dark room for a month.
Correct. They're in isolation in the dark for a month for $100K. Food is delivered to them at random intervals, so they don't know exactly what day it is or how long they've gone without food. And they also deliver like 6 meals worth, stuff like that.
That is so dangerous.
The word you're looking for, I think, is asinine.
It's really, really, really bad.
Yeah. And for...
Is Brad bluffing Manatithe here?
I kind of hope so. Here's a Sylvan Scrying. Didn't work.
I'll find out. I guess maybe it could be an end-of-turn bolt. Also an option.
Anneliese's start here, not all that exciting. See a Ghost Quarter, Scavenging Grounds, and now the first Tron piece is Nelson will play a Flooded Strand. It was an end-of-turn bolt, by the way.
Okay.
Anneliese down to 17. I would not take that bet, as you mentioned, for $100K. It's going to take a lot more than that. There's some real damage that can be done.
Yeah, that's not a joke. Being in isolation for a month like that is
in the dark.
It is torture.
Yeah. Poker players, they're a real special breed.
So then this ended up with me going down the rabbit hole a little bit about other prop bets.
Okay.
One was eat $1,000 worth of McDonald's in 24 hours.
I remember seeing that.
I read the Luis Scott Vargas was gracious enough to send me a link to this.
Okay.
And the person did not get through $100 in 10 hours.
Yeah, of course.
Like $1,000 at McDonald's, they don't have $1,000 worth of food on hand at any given time. The person writing the article, you could tell this person enjoyed it. Writing the article, said the effort was described by some as, quote, pathetic.
What is the most expensive item at McDonald's, you think?
I don't have a good guess.
So I don't either. So I would guess it's one of three things. One of their disgusting fancy coffees.
And, for the purpose of this prop bet, drinks were excluded. You could not
even
fill
worse.
Up. So it's $1,000 of, which, if you think about it, obviously your body would shut down well before even the $300 mark.
So I'm assuming their most expensive item is like the Big Mac or one of their burgers that has multiple patties. Okay. And then if drinks are excluded, I was actually my third guess was going to be one of the milkshakes. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, excuse me, it's a shake. They can't say milk because it's not milk, so they actually have to call it a shake. Here's a thought knot here that'll be countered via ceremonious rejection. But can you imagine just having to try to load up on milkshakes to get through the bet? You want to talk about your body shutting down?
That's probably easier than the burgers.
Which would shut down first, your body or their shake machine?
I know that when I'm flying in the morning, when I'm flying back.
Okay.
And it's, we've had this long weekend, my sleep's been a little disruptive, and I'm not feeling well, and it's really important to sleep on the plane. I get the hash browns from McDonald's.
That's correct.
My body shuts down after 2 hash browns, which I believe is about $2.
I think it's 2 hash browns for $1.
Something like that.
They're running a special on hash browns.
So if you use that as your framework, it is impossible to eat $1,000 worth of McDonald's.
A chromatic sphere here from Anneliese Faustino.
An effort described by some onlookers as pathetic.
Yeah. And now a relic of Progenitus to slow down Snapcaster Mage and search for his content. Anneliese has not been able to complete Tron in either game. Power plant and mine on the battlefield. No towers have shown up just yet.
Relic is a good one to have, though.
Don't hate it.
A lot of Brad's way of applying pressure, to if you want to call it that, involve either as Kanta or Snapcaster Mage, as seen here. And that Relic is good enough for Brad to Snapcaster negate it.
And now it'll be a Walking Ballista, which can take care of the Snapcaster Mage and potentially do more than that. As we head back over to Nelson, he'll draw a card. He'll come in with Snapcaster Mage. Anneliese, Faustino, no interest in blocking. Going to fall down to 15. And looks like Nelson will just pass the turn back. 4 mana at the ready. Note, only 2 of it blue. Cannot play Cryptic Command if he has one in hand. Sacrifice the Sphere for a green mana Wolf Faustino. That's why you see her draw a card. Looks like going to pump up the jam on the Ballista.
Yep, not really super interested in casting spells into all of Nelson's open mana, so.
Nelson appears as though he has some interest in responding. It'll be a Path to Exile headed towards the Ballista.
So now Faustino has the choice between killing the Snapcaster Mage and having the path not resolve and not getting the forest. With her a little tight on mana and Thragtusks in the deck post-board most likely, seems like a good spot to take the land, but looks like she's just instead going to finish off the Snapcaster.
Nelson will play another Snapcaster Mage and bolt Faustino. Faustino's going to fall down to 12. It'll be 10 after the attack that Nelson will make with the Snapcaster right now. Nelson perhaps on the burnt-out strategy, as he'll play a Scalding Tarn. That is a third blue source of mana there for Brad. Was missing that. Looks like Faustino has drawn another Tron piece. Not sure if it's the tower, but I'm actually pretty sure it is now. Got a good glimpse at it. And now it's about sequencing to maybe trap Brad a little bit.
Yep. She's going to be able to play one big spell here. Maybe see if she can pick a fight over something like this. Because Faustino, you know, she doesn't have green mana. She's sort of representing that nothing is really going on here. It's not a 0%er that Brad would fight over the sphere. And then you got a clean shot to resolve Ugin or whatever it is you're trying to set up.
It'll be an Expedition map. This one's worth trying.
Yeah, I like. I mean,
this
is a really good bait spell.
Like the sequencing here from Faustino. Tower going to come down now, so Brad not willing to bite, and there's no payoff card here for Faustino, it appears. At least one that costs 7 mana, because it does appear as though Anneliese does have an Ugin in hand. Nelson's going to fire up a Lightning Bolt. Snapcaster that Lightning Bolt and attack for 4, and that's going to get the job done. Brad Nelson going to win this game and match here over Anneliese Faustino.